So if you're someone who's on the road to six-pack abs and you're working hard, you're committed to yourself, you're learning about the process, in this video, I want to share with you my story, how I almost gave up and quit trying to get that lean. And the reason why I decided to share my story is because I feel like there's a lot of mismanaged expectations that people have and a lot of things that they don't know. There are obstacles and roadblocks headed their way that if I share with you my experience, it will help you stay more committed and stay more consistent and actually reach your goal. And by the way, none of this is some kind of quick fix here or something that I did that completely changed everything overnight. These are realizations and lessons I learned through hard work, persistence, and all the things that you will have to do as well if you want to get really, really lean. And by the way, if you're new around here, if it's your first time on this channel, consider subscribing below by hitting that subscribe button if you love to learn more about fitness, nutrition, and how to make this a lifestyle. Also, if you hit that bell icon and enable notifications, you'll know when I post future videos. And now let's dive into the story. So the first thing that caused me to question everything and almost give up on the journey to getting a six-pack for the first time was that I really didn't know what to expect. I had no expectations and I had no knowledge how the fat loss process works. I just went into it. I realized that if I lost body weight, I'm gonna lose body fat and I'm gonna get leaner. Now, what I didn't understand is how the process of losing body fat actually works. I thought that if I just focused a lot on doing ab training and general like fat loss, that the fat is going to be coming off from the midsection, that I'm going to start seeing my abs. I didn't realize that I'm going to start seeing my abs only toward the very end of that fat loss phase. I didn't realize that you lose body fat first from your face, then from your shoulders, then from your upper back, then from your chest, and all these other places like your arms before you start tapping into the belly fat, before that stomach fat goes away. And that was so discouraging for me because I didn't know that this is the way it happens. I thought that I was supposed to be losing that stomach fat and thought I would see some results visually. And what happened, I was only looking at the midsection. I didn't even pay attention to any of these other things. I was just paying close attention to that stomach fat, and that didn't go away for many, many weeks. It was just super discouraging. And I just didn't know if there was something wrong with me, with my training. I added more ab work, I started adding more cardio, all these things that you keep reading about in mainstream fitness magazines or in the forums, like people saying you should do. And none of that really helped. And I almost gave up because I thought, well, what's the point of getting leaner if I'm not getting rid of stomach fat? If this is not changing right here, like what's the point of all of this? And only until I realized that this is actually coming off last, and I realized that it actually happens in stages, that it's almost like climbing a mountain in a way. Like you're climbing this mountain where you can't see what's going to happen when you reach the top. Like you can't see the landscape, you can't see the beautiful nature that you can see from the top. And when you're climbing, you're just kind of like seeing the rocks. You're just getting tired. You're climbing up there, fatigue's accumulating. And before the very top, that's when you're most fatigued. And you're taking some breaks, you're doing all these things, but when you climb on top, that's when you see all this amazing landscapes, all these things, and that's kind of the journey to the six-pack, right? So only until the very end do you start getting a glimpse of what that's gonna look like, and only when you reach the final goal, then you can see these amazing levels of body fat that you want to eventually get to. So really for me, that was the huge realization. And one thing that happens actually in those last 3-4 weeks, that's when you start seeing massive changes. And I didn't know this. I didn't know that for the first like 3-4 months, I'm not gonna see any changes, but in the last 3-4 weeks, when all the body fat is gone from other areas of my body, that this body fat now that's only left there, that's when you start losing pounds and pounds, then you start seeing massive differences week to week. And that was very motivating, and I'm glad that I didn't give up, because if I gave up before this started happening, I would have never got to my goal. So really, if you're climbing the mountain right now, if you're fighting, if you only see those rocks and those steps and the path, if you don't see what's happening behind that mountain, endure, persist. You will get to that point. And if you're doing things right, of course, if you're stuck with your body fat is plateaued, if you're not losing any body weight, I mean, then you have to change things. But if you're just making progress, like it might just take some more time. Like, so you really have to be patient. And I'm glad that I did. Otherwise, I would have never been here. So that's really one of the first things that I realized is this fat loss process is so unique to all of us. And now I see this with clients that some of them are losing stomach fat sooner, some of them later, but ultimately they all get shredded. But the point is really that it's individual to you. So this is something you have to figure out about your own body. And once you figure this out, it's only about the first time, because once you know it for the first time, every other time you decide to actually get leaner, you understand how it's going to work. So it's only the first time when you're getting your abs, when you're getting down to 10% body fat as a guy, when you see a six-pack, this is really when it's a question. Otherwise, every other time you understand how it works, so you're a lot more patient, you understand the process, and it's never going to be a question again. Now, the second reason why I almost gave up on getting six-pack abs for the first time was the way I thought I looked. Because when I was getting there for the first time to 10% body fat to get my abs, I didn't really have a lot of lean body mass. I didn't have a lot of muscle mass. And I started to look skinnier. I started looking very depleted because I was on lower food intake, because I wanted to lose body fat. Of course, you have to do that. And I started looking a lot smaller. And that is really where I started getting comments from other people. I started looking at myself and I'm like, wow, like I don't look that impressive. So what am I doing here? I felt like I was losing a lot of muscle. I felt like I was doing something wrong. And that's why I almost gave up. I just wasn't happy with how my body looked. I didn't really understand that it's all about phases, right? When you lose the body fat, then you can go and build more muscle and you can start committing to that journey. I didn't understand that this is just a lifelong journey of me trying to master this and me trying to really work my way up in terms of how much muscle I have, getting stronger. I just focused so much on the short term and how I looked that day that I didn't realize that this is just one of the many phases that I'm going to go through. And that's something I see discourage a lot of people as well. Like they're just looking at themselves and they feel like, oh, I'm so skinny right now. I didn't know. I don't look as full. And maybe you lose a little bit of that size initially when you go on a cut because you deplete your glycogen and you just look immediately smaller because you burnt the fat in your muscle. And that can discourage you. So this is really important to know when you're starting out that this may happen to you. So be open for that. Like be open to that realization and expect this to potentially happen so you're going to be able to endure, you're going to be able to persist. This is really the key, is to surround yourself with people that can tell you what to expect in a way so you don't get discouraged. Because when you're on the journey, I remember I felt like I was alone and I was the only one dealing with this, and none of my friends were into fitness as much. Like I didn't really have good sources that I could trust, someone to tell me, hey, this is good, like this is supposed to happen, like you're doing a good job. So I didn't understand what to do more of that was working and how to do less of the things that it didn't work. So this is really important for you to understand and have expectations and have good feedback and have the realization. These stories like the one I'm sharing you right now are going to help you on your journey to understand what is going to happen. So if you're getting a little bit smaller right now, look, it's just a phase, right? You're going to pass through this phase and there's on to the next phase. So this is something I really wanted to share with you here. Also, I'm going to share a video here at the end that you can use to get down to 10% body fat, to get more strategies and things that are definitely going to help you. So check out that video. Also, if you want my mentorship and my guidance, if you want to work with me as your coach, I will leave a link in the description below where you can find more details about working with me. So check that out. Other than that, I will see you in that next video.